Hello everyone, this is Danny from creatingawebstore.com, and in today's tutorial what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about e-commerce plugins for WordPress. If you haven't heard about WordPress is basically a CMS, well, bloggers actually use it to put content out on the web, and it's a really very popular software program, and it has a ton of plugins available for it, and luckily, they also have some e-commerce plugins available. And what I usually do with these YouTube videos is I create videos showing people how to install e-commerce solutions. Of course, I create videos on other stuff as well, but I mostly focus on that. For example, the free shopping cart software, I show people how to install some of them. Now, with WordPress, I'm not going to show you how to install WordPress because it's actually pretty simple these days, since most web hosts, they actually offer one-click WordPress installs. For example, HostGator, they offer WordPress hosting with just a click scripts where you can install WordPress basically in just a click. GoDaddy, another one, WordPress in one click, and I'm sure there are a ton of other web hosts that offer the same thing. So what instead I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the e-commerce plugins that I created a list for. I literally went through 51 plugins. I installed them, I tested them to make sure that they function. Of course, I didn't go really deep into all of it, but I made sure that they can actually get it installed, that you can actually list an item, and that I can actually find my item afterwards on my site. You're probably wondering, well, what was the point of that? Well, believe it or not, I did find a couple of plugins that didn't work, so I'm glad that I did that. And these plugins range from all-in-one shopping cart solutions, payment button generators, plugins for selling digital downloads, and plugins that integrate with existing e-commerce solutions. This basically works for, say, for example, if you already have a store with either 3D Cart, OS Commerce, PrestaShop, Volusion, Wazala, ZenCart, the famous Magento, you can basically integrate that software with WordPress and get your items to display on your WordPress site. And especially these days, having a blog is very, very important because you know, content is king these days, and this is definitely a great way to drive traffic to your store. So obviously it's even better if you can build your store right on top of WordPress and have it all right there, your blog, your store right on your website. So WordPress, this is definitely a great way to go about selling your stuff online. And in addition to this, there are many other great things about WordPress. For example, WordPress has a ton of plugins available, and I'm going to show you some of them that I think are great, and I'm sure there are many others out there. Themes, there are a bunch of themes out there. They have responsive themes, and by default, WordPress is responsive. So, for example, if someone visits your site on a mobile device, the layout will actually adjust to the mobile device. I actually did a post on this on my website with a video about making your store mobile friendly, and I actually spoke about, you know, themes for Magento and PrestaShop, and why it's important to have responsive web design because of how it's just one website that adjust to the mobile device rather than building multiple sites for mobile version, desktop version, and you can read more about this here. And I actually spoke about some paid themes that are out there on Theme Forest. And you know, with the e-commerce software, like for example, they have responsive themes for Magento, PrestaShop, etc. And while they have a few, WordPress is just extremely popular in the online world, so they have a lot more themes available for WordPress. But again, you might even be able to find a nice free theme out there and install it in your WordPress site and basically make your website mobile friendly for shoppers. Now, one thing that I did find that I didn't really like about these e-commerce plugins is that many of them are not SSL compatible. So for example, if you want to set up a secure connection, very few of these plugins actually have SSL support. For example, this eShop, at this time when I wrote this article, I couldn't find a way of enabling SSL. So this is not something that I was too thrilled with. Now I understand why they didn't add SSL support. They basically didn't do this because many online sellers these days will just either accept Amazon payments, checkout by Amazon, or Google Wallet, or PayPal, etc. So they feel, what's the point of SSL support when they're not really, your shoppers aren't really purchasing the item on your website, but they're actually being redirected to another website where the purchase goes through. But if you think about it, a lot of people might not realize this, and you could lose out on some sales because, you know, people will arrive at your site, look at the shopping cart, and they'll say, well, wait a second, why isn't this shopping cart protected? So just to keep your customers happy and safe, I did some digging around, and I actually found a plugin that can actually enable SSL on your site, even if the e-commerce solution does not have SSL support. So I'm actually going to look in my inactive plugins here for it. As you can see, I installed 71 of them because I went through all this stuff, testing and all. So right here, this is the plugin. As you can see, I have to use the search and find function on my browser to actually find it. It's WordPress HTTPS, and what it does is it allows you to enable SSL, and you can decide which part of your site you want to enable SSL on. And what I really like about this is that you can actually specify a certain directory. For example, if you're installing, like for example, WP Ecommerce, and if the directory for your store is shop or whatever, and if you're maintaining a blog as well and you'd prefer your home page to display the blog, and you'd like your store to be displayed in a separate directory, what you can do is you can actually secure that one directory where your store is. So for example, if that directory is store, you can just type in store and click save changes, and what will happen is that one directory will be SSL protected. Now, another thing that I like about this is that you can use a shared SSL directory. For example, you can use a shared SSL certificate. For example, WP Ecommerce, they do not have shared SSL support. Now, if you're with a company like HostGator, if you have a website with HostGator, what they do is with the entry-level hosting plan, they offered shared SSL. And that shared SSL web address is not your domain. For example, my domain for my store is isafeplaza.com. This is, just a testing site. And my shared SSL address would be gator183.hostgator.com / and my username /. So it would not be isafeplaza.com. So what's nice here is you can enter in a separate URL for SSL, for the SSL host. So for example, you can use your HostGator shared SSL URL and enter it here, and you can keep your actual domain for the non-SSL version. Of course, if you're making sales, I recommend actually getting an SSL certificate because it looks more professional than redirecting your visitors to a HostGator URL. And it might be better in terms of SEO, but again, the point here is that you can use shared SSL if you'd like. So now, with the all-in-one shopping cart solutions, these are basically solutions where this actually turns your WordPress blog into a real store. And I mean, some of these things have coupon codes, like for example, multiple currencies that you can choose from, charge tax, sell physical and digital downloads, product categories, product options you can add, different types of shipping, different payment options that you can accept, discount codes, etc. Then you have payment button generators. With these, for example, you can just insert PayPal buttons, or for example, right here I have Google Checkout. You can, or what it's right now it's called Google Wallet. You can install Google Wallet buttons into your blog posts, and people can use those buttons, to pay you. So it depends on how sophisticated you need your store to be, and you can go from there. So if you're looking for something basic, you can use a payment button generator. If you're looking for actual shopping cart solution, you can use one of these. And if you're looking to sell digital downloads, bam, right here we have a digital download plugins. These are great, and they have a ton of features. I was actually amazed by all the features. So for to look through this list, you can visit my website, creatingawebstore.com. The URL is in the description of this video. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to install, for example, one plugin just so that you can see what I'm talking about. So let's see here. I'm going to install this WP Ecommerce plugin. So I'm going to activate it, and I'm going to, for example, list a test item so that you can see what I'm talking about. And I'm just going to do whatever here. And another thing that I like about WordPress is that it's search engine friendly. You have like search engine friendly URLs that it generates. I mean, WordPress is great. I don't actually use WordPress for creatingawebstore.com. I use Drupal, but I have used WordPress in the past, and I think it's great. There's nothing that I don't like about it. So now like you can do variations if you'd really if you're looking to do that. You can create external links with this particular e-commerce plugin. So for example, if you want to redirect your visitors to another store, you can create a link, enter in a link so that the person goes to purchase that item from that particular store rather than from your site. So and you can do the product downloads here. For example, you can upload a file that you're selling. Shipping, again, you can do a bunch. I'm not going to actually fill in all this stuff because there's so many things to fill in. I'm just going to do a basic listing just so that you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, and our image has been uploaded, and now I'm going to publish the product. Please ignore all the error messages. I don't really get much time to update these things, and since this is a test site, I don't really worry about it. But now let's go view our product. and as you can see, the product has been listed. Let's add it to our cart, and this is the checkout page. As you can see, pretty much a standard checkout page. Of course, if you're looking for something else, again, there are 50 other e-commerce plugins available, so please visit creatingawebstore.com, and please stay tuned for more e-commerce videos.